So to wrap up this lesson, I just wanted to show you a couple resources that are going to help you when you do start to get more comfortable with CSS, changing the colors, changing the fonts, learning more about how the colors work, and just kind of making your test projects a little bit nicer without having to use those built-in ones, and to know what colors to use, what colors go well together. So first resource I wanted to show you is this link. It's just a good overview from W3 of how the color property works and all the different ways that you can use it. It's not just hex values or built-in colors, but there can be RGB values as well. So check this out, read it over. You'll learn a lot more that we didn't go over in this lesson. Next one is the color wheel when you're trying to choose a color palette. Now it works like this. Just take one of these and throw it to any color you would like. It's going to give you a collection of colors that go well together. In case you wanted to work on a project, you can have your whole color palette picked out here, and also change a color and then change the harmony rule as well, where here they're monochromatic, they're all kind of similar, and here they fluctuate. Check this out, it's really a lot of fun. Not only will you learn how to use hex values, but also kind of a little bit of color theory and why these things go together and why they please the eye so well. Next, when you're in a rush and you just need a color real quick, I always use this for my testing. It just gives you a whole suite of colors, and just by clicking it, it copies it to your clipboard, and then you can just paste it into wherever you're working, right? So you can just pick a nice color, make all the borders this one, and then make all the text this kind of black or this kind of darkish blue. It's a real big time saver, and it looks pretty good too. It's called Flat UI. You can find all those here. Similar to Adobe Color Wheel, but just a different interface if you want to just mess around with it. Again, choosing color palettes. Pretty cool. This one is just the beginning of the section on colors at W3 schools. There's a lot of information here. I would say just if you really want to, if you're into more of the styling than you are the HTML or the JavaScript, you're going to want to get good at CSS coloring. And last but not least, a link to Google Fonts. Mess around with this. Once we talk about HTML structure in lesson 4, then you'll know how to bring something into the head of your HTML file, and then you can really go wild using all different kinds of fonts. There's a rule that you shouldn't use more than 1 or 2, I guess, but while you're learning, it's good to have fun. Just pick the wildest one you can find and see how it looks. For the homework, these are suggestions. I would start off with this article. I found that it really encapsulates a lot of the things that we talked about today in a kind of digestible fashion. Just instead of rewatching the slides again and spending another 2 hours, you could just read this and it might just trigger the things that you've already learned and even push you forward a little bit into next week when we talk about classes and IDs. Really good article. Highly recommend it. You read it all the way through. And the same person who wrote it also created this course, CSS on unscramble.com. With video tutorials, right? I don't know how much of this I can show.
Introduction to CSS. CSS stands for.
Right, so if you're taking this class and you feel a little overwhelmed, take this one too, and I guarantee by the time you're done with both, you're going to be in really great shape when it comes to CSS, and you'll learn things that we're not even going to cover in this class, and you're on your way to becoming sort of comfortable with this whole new language. Because we learned HTML in a week or two. There's still a lot to go there, but there's even farther to go with CSS because it's a vast, vast language. It's extremely powerful and lots of parts. And I've included as a suggestion lessons 1, 2, and 3. But feel free to do the whole thing. I'll be really impressed if any of you make it to the end, because by that point you could be teaching me a couple things. So that's it for the homework. That's it for the class. That's it for this lesson. You can contact me in any one of these ways. And for the next lesson, we're going to be talking about divs and layout and flexbox, hopefully, and paddings and margin. That's going to be the layout lesson. Let's just take a look real quick and see if the link works. Click the link. And CSS layout. Oh. So here's a bit of a preview, work in progress. Make it all the way back. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next lesson, lesson 3, layout.